Across the globe, there exist landscapes where the struggle for existence is both relentless and awe-inspiring, where every sunrise signals a new chapter in the ongoing saga of survival. Among these, the African savanna stands as a living testament to nature's raw power and intricate balance, a place where every creature's fate is shaped by the land's unforgiving rhythms. The savanna stretches endlessly, a sea of golden grasses punctuated by the silhouettes of acacia trees, their canopies offering rare islands of shade beneath a merciless sun. Here, herds of wildebeest and zebra traverse the open plains, their movements dictated by the search for water and fresh grazing, always wary of the predators that shadow their every step. The savanna's climate is defined by stark contrasts, months of parching drought followed by sudden torrential rains that transform the landscape and trigger mass migrations. During the dry season, waterholes shrink and competition intensifies, forcing animals to travel great distances and risk dangerous encounters at the few remaining sources of life-sustaining water. The arrival of the rains brings a dramatic transformation. Grasses surge skyward, rivers swell, and the air fills with the calls of returning birds, signaling a brief period of abundance. Migratory herds numbering in the thousands move in synchronized waves, their instincts guiding them across perilous rivers and through predator-infested grasslands in pursuit of greener pastures. Predators such as lions, cheetahs, and hyenas exploit these migrations, employing stealth, teamwork, and explosive speed to ambush the unwary and cull the weak from the herd. The relentless sun bakes the earth, creating a landscape where shade is precious, and dehydration is a constant threat, testing the endurance of every animal, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal. Elephants, with their remarkable memory and social bonds, lead their families to hidden water sources, while giraffes browse on the highest leaves, out of reach of most competitors. Antelope rely on acute senses and lightning reflexes to detect danger, often forming mixed species groups to increase vigilance and reduce individual risk. Null lions, the apex predators of the savanna, use coordinated group tactics, silent communication, and strategic positioning to outmaneuver their prey, often targeting the young, old, or injured. At dawn, the savanna stirs with life. Herbivores graze cautiously, always alert to the possibility of ambush, while nocturnal hunters retreat to the shadows, their bellies full or empty. Lionesses teach their cubs the art of stalking and patience, skills honed over generations and essential for their survival in a world where mistakes are rarely forgiven. Newborn zebra foals must stand and run within minutes of birth, their survival dependent on their ability to keep pace with the herd and evade lurking predators. The vigilance of adult zebras, their sharp eyesight and coordinated defense, provides a crucial shield for the vulnerable young who are targeted by lions, hyenas, and wild dogs. Every hunt is a contest of strategy and stamina. Predators must close the distance quickly, while prey rely on erratic sprints, sudden turns, and the confusion of the herd to escape. Scavengers such as vultures and jackals play a vital role, swiftly locating carcasses and ensuring that nothing goes to waste, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. Cheetahs, built for speed rather than strength, rely on explosive acceleration and keen eyesight, but must eat quickly before larger predators steal their hard-won meals. Honey badgers, renowned for their tenacity and resilience, dig for burrowing prey and raid beehives, undeterred by venom or stings, exemplifying the savanna's demand for adaptability. Each species has evolved remarkable adaptations. Zebra stripes disrupt their outline and confuse predators, while the thick hides of rhinoceroses and elephants offer protection from both sun and attack. The African savanna is a living laboratory of survival where every behavior, every adaptation, and every decision can mean the difference between life and death, and where the relentless drive to endure shapes the destiny of all who call it home. In the sprawling theatre of the African savanna, every sunrise signals the beginning of a new struggle for existence, a relentless contest where only the most adaptable survive. Here, a single immutable law governs all: adapt or face extinction. The savanna is a crucible, forging creatures through hardship and opportunity alike. Survival is not a matter of chance, but a daily examination of an animal's physical prowess, its sharpened instincts, and its capacity to learn from a world that offers no mercy. Every heartbeat is a calculation, every movement a potential risk or reward. The open plains offer little sanctuary. Each creature must carry its defenses, whether in the form of powerful legs for flight, sharp horns for combat, or a deep-seated understanding of its adversary's habits. The giraffe's towering height grants it a vantage point, while its vigilance is its shield. Even the humble dung beetle is shaped by this environment, rolling its prize across unforgiving terrain, adapting to the cycles of feast and famine dictated by the land. The environment itself is a formidable opponent, with searing heat, sudden storms, and shifting seasons. The dry season transforms lush grasslands into parched, dusty expanses. Waterholes shrink, and the promise of rain becomes a distant hope. Vast herds of wildebeest and zebra are compelled to migrate, traversing hundreds of miles in search of sustenance. Along the way, the old, the young, and the weak are often the first to fall, claimed by exhaustion or the ever-watchful eyes of predators. When the rains finally arrive, they bring both relief and peril. Torrential downpours can transform the landscape in moments, flooding the plains and turning the ground into a treacherous mire. Animals must be ever vigilant, ready to react to flash floods or the sudden appearance of predators drawn by the abundance of life. Adaptation in the savanna is not merely a matter of brute strength. It is a complex interplay of instinct, intelligence, and learned behavior. Young predators shadow their mothers, absorbing lessons in patience, stealth, and timing. A lioness demonstrates the art of the stalk, her cubs mimicking her every move, learning to read the wind and use the terrain as cover. Each hunt is a masterclass in strategy. A predator must know when to press an attack and when to abandon the chase, conserving precious energy for another opportunity. The cheetah, built for speed, must balance explosive acceleration with the risk of overheating, while lions rely on teamwork and patience. For prey, survival hinges on acute senses and rapid learning. A young gazelle must quickly distinguish the scent of a lion on the wind, recognize the alarm calls of birds, and interpret the subtle cues of its herd. These instincts are honed by generations of selective pressure, where only the most perceptive endure. Communication is vital. A flick of an ear, a sudden stillness, or a ripple of tension through a herd can mean the difference between escape and disaster. The knowledge of danger is as crucial as the speed of flight or the sharpness of senses. In this world, a single moment of inattention can spell doom. The pressure to adapt has driven the evolution of some of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth, each uniquely equipped for the challenges of the savanna. The cheetah's unmatched speed, the Cape buffalo's formidable strength, and the intricate social bonds of lions and hyenas are all products of relentless evolutionary arms races. Each adaptation is a response to the ever-changing pressures of predation, competition, and climate. Prey species have developed an astonishing array of defenses: camouflage, powerful kicks, and coordinated group movements, turning every encounter into a dramatic contest of strategy and willpower. This unyielding creed of adaptation is the engine of the savanna, shaping a dynamic and complex ecosystem where every animal, from the smallest insect to the apex predator, plays a vital role in a timeless drama. To witness life here is to witness the raw, unfiltered power of natural selection, an endless dance of survival, innovation, and resilience. The African savanna is a vast open stage where survival is a daily contest, and prey animals have become masters of adaptation. Every species, from the smallest rodent to the largest herbivore, has developed a unique arsenal of strategies to outwit, outrun, or outlast the predators that stalk these grasslands. Their lives are a constant balance between vigilance and vulnerability, and their behaviors are shaped by the relentless pressure of predation. Take the zebra, for example. Its iconic black and white stripes are more than just striking. They serve as a form of disruptive camouflage, breaking up the animal's outline and making it difficult for predators to single out an individual when the herd is in motion. Zebras are constantly alert, relying on their acute hearing and wide field of vision to detect threats. When danger approaches, they bolt in a coordinated stampede, their stripes blending into a dizzying blur. But if a predator closes in, the zebra's defense becomes physical. With a kick that can deliver nearly 2,000 pounds of force, a zebra can break bones and deter even the most determined lion. This kick is not random. Zebras often aim for the head or jaw, targeting the most vulnerable spots of their attackers. Giraffes, towering above the grasses, use their extraordinary height as both lookout and deterrent. Their large, mobile eyes scan the horizon for the slightest movement, and their elevated vantage point allows them to spot predators long before they get close. Giraffes often gather in loose groups, each individual watching in a different direction, maximizing their collective awareness. When one senses danger, a subtle shift in posture or a sudden stillness can alert the entire group, triggering a silent, coordinated retreat. If a predator dares to attack, the giraffe's defense is swift and lethal. With legs as long as a man is tall, a giraffe can deliver a kick with enough force to crush a lion's skull or snap its spine. These kicks are delivered with remarkable accuracy, often targeting the head or chest of the attacker. Even lions, the apex predators of the savanna, approach giraffes with extreme caution, knowing that a single miscalculation can be fatal. The Cape buffalo, meanwhile, relies on the power of the herd. When threatened, these formidable animals form a tight phalanx, with the largest and most heavily armored males at the front. Their horns, fused into a massive shield called a boss, are used to repel attackers. Buffalo communicate through subtle cues, tail flicks, head shakes, and low grunts, coordinating their movements to protect calves and weaker members. If a lion pride attempts an attack, the herd may countercharge, using sheer force and numbers to drive the predators away. Injured or isolated lions often fall victim to the buffalo's relentless defense. Not all defenses rely on size or strength. The Cape porcupine, Africa's largest rodent, is a master of passive defense. Its body is covered in thousands of sharp, keratinous quills, some nearly a foot long. These quills are loosely attached and can easily embed themselves in the flesh of an attacker. The porcupine's coloration, dark with white stripes, serves as a warning, advertising its dangerous armament to would-be predators. When threatened, the porcupine raises its quills and rattles a set of hollow spines on its tail, producing a menacing sound. It will back toward the threat, presenting a wall of spikes. If the warning is ignored, the porcupine lunges backward, impaling its attacker. Many predators, including lions and leopards, have learned to avoid these rodents after painful encounters that often result in lingering wounds and deadly infections. The aftermath of such encounters is often grim for the predator. Quills embedded deep in muscle or joints can cause infections, abscesses, and even death. Over time, predators learn to recognize and avoid the porcupine's distinctive silhouette and warning sounds, a testament to the effectiveness of this passive defense. The honey badger, though small, is renowned for its audacity and resilience. Its skin is thick and loose, allowing it to twist and bite even when seized by a predator. When threatened, the honey badger emits a foul-smelling secretion and launches a ferocious counterattack, targeting the face and eyes of its assailant. Its reputation for fearlessness is so great that many larger predators hesitate to engage, knowing the risk of injury is high. Even birds have evolved remarkable defenses. The grey-crowned crane, for instance, is fiercely protective of its nest. When a predator approaches, the crane spreads its massive wings, leaps into the air, and emits piercing calls. This display not only startles the intruder but also signals to nearby cranes, who may join in the defense. The crane's agility and aggression can deter predators many times its size, ensuring the survival of its vulnerable chicks. The black rhinoceros, solitary and unpredictable, relies on a combination of acute senses and brute force. Its poor eyesight is offset by an exceptional sense of smell and hearing. Rhinos are quick to detect unfamiliar scents or sounds, and will often charge first and investigate later. Their thick armor-like skin and formidable horn make them nearly impervious to attack, and even lions rarely risk an encounter with an adult rhino. Across the savanna, camouflage is a silent ally. Many antelope species, such as impalas and gazelles, sport coats that blend seamlessly with the tawny grasses. They freeze at the first sign of danger, relying on stillness and coloration to avoid detection. Others, like the wildebeest, use mass movement and confusion, stampeding in huge herds to overwhelm a predator's senses. Each species, in its own way, demonstrates the ingenuity of evolution, adapting, surviving, and thriving in a world where every day is a test of life and death. The African savanna is a vast, ever-changing stage where only the most formidable predators rise to the top of the food chain. Here, apex predators have evolved extraordinary adaptations, both physical and behavioral, to dominate their environment and maintain the delicate balance of this ecosystem. The lion, often called the king of beasts, is the only truly social big cat. Its strength lies not just in raw power, but in the intricate social structure of the pride. Each pride is a complex family unit, typically led by a coalition of dominant males who defend territory and offspring, while the lionesses form the core of the group. Lionesses are the pride's primary hunters, working together with remarkable coordination. They communicate silently through subtle cues, tail flicks, ear movements and body posture, allowing them to approach prey undetected. During a hunt, the pride employs a strategic formation. Some lionesses act as drivers, flushing prey towards hidden ambushes. This teamwork enables them to target large, dangerous animals that would be impossible to subdue alone. After a successful kill, a strict hierarchy is observed. Dominant males feed first, reinforcing their authority, followed by lionesses and then cubs. This order reduces conflict and ensures the pride's stability. Such cooperation allows lions to bring down formidable prey like buffalo and wildebeest, whose size and strength would overwhelm a solitary predator. In contrast, solitary lions, often young males or outcasts, face a far more perilous existence, forced to rely on stealth and opportunism rather than brute force and teamwork. Not all apex predators are social. The cheetah, for example, is a master of speed and precision, living and hunting alone or in small sibling groups called coalitions. Built for acceleration, the cheetah relies on explosive bursts of speed to chase down fleet-footed prey like gazelles. Its lightweight frame, flexible spine, and enlarged nasal passages allow for rapid oxygen intake during a sprint. The cheetah's long tail acts as a counterbalance, enabling sharp turns at high velocity. This agility is crucial for matching the unpredictable movements of escaping prey. Unlike other cats, the cheetah's semi-retractable claws provide constant traction, functioning like cleats to grip the earth during high-speed pursuits. Once within range, the cheetah delivers a suffocating bite to the throat, ending the chase in seconds. But this remarkable speed comes at a price. The cheetah's body overheats rapidly, forcing it to rest and recover immediately after a hunt. Vulnerable and exhausted, the cheetah must remain vigilant, as larger predators and scavengers are quick to steal its hard-earned meal. To survive, it eats rapidly, always alert for the approach of hyenas or lions, whose superior strength can easily drive it away. The leopard, another solitary hunter, is the embodiment of stealth and adaptability. Its secretive nature allows it to thrive in diverse habitats, from open savanna to dense woodland. Leopards are opportunistic, preying on a wide range of animals, from insects and birds to antelope and primates. Their hunting style is patient and methodical, relying on silent stalking and sudden ambush. After a kill, the leopard's immense strength is on display as it drags prey, sometimes heavier than itself, high into the branches of a tree. This arboreal larder keeps its meal safe from ground-based competitors, allowing the leopard to feed undisturbed for days. The spotted hyena, often mischaracterized as a scavenger, is in fact a formidable predator. Hyenas live in large matriarchal clans where social bonds and cooperation are key to their success. Their hunting strategy is based on endurance. Hyenas can pursue prey over long distances, using relentless stamina to exhaust their quarry before moving in for the kill. In the waterways and waterholes, the Nile crocodile reigns supreme. This ancient reptile is a master of ambush, lying motionless for hours, perfectly camouflaged in the murky shallows. Weighing over 1,500 pounds, the crocodile is a living relic, unchanged for millions of years, its body built for sudden, explosive violence. Patient and silent, it waits for the perfect moment, striking with lightning speed when prey approaches the water's edge. Its jaws close with a force capable of crushing bone, and few animals can escape once caught in its grip. The infamous death roll follows, a violent twisting motion that tears apart even the largest prey, ensuring nothing goes to waste. Each apex predator has carved out a unique niche, minimizing direct competition through specialized hunting techniques, preferred habitats, and prey selection. Together, these remarkable hunters shape the savanna's ecosystem, regulating herbivore populations and driving the evolutionary arms race that defines life on this wild and unforgiving landscape. Far from the sun-scorched plains of Africa lies a wilderness just as remarkable, the Florida Everglades. Spanning over 1 million acres in southern Florida, this vast expanse is one of the most unique and complex ecosystems on Earth. Contrary to popular belief, the Everglades is not a stagnant swamp, but a slow-moving, shallow river, often called the River of Grass. Its waters flow gently southward, nourishing a landscape that is both subtle and teeming with life. This river begins at Lake Okeechobee, spreading out into a broad, shallow sheet that travels more than 100 miles to the Florida Bay. Along the way, it shapes a mosaic of habitats, each supporting its own web of life. In 1947, the Everglades was designated a national park, not for its mountains or canyons, but for the extraordinary diversity of plants and animals that depend on its waters. Today it stands as a living laboratory and a sanctuary for countless species. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Everglades is globally significant, a fragile, irreplaceable wetland that supports life found nowhere else. The landscape is a patchwork of 9 distinct ecosystems, from open water sloughs and sawgrass prairies to hardwood hammocks, pinelands, and cypress domes. Each habitat is shaped by the flow and quality of water, and each plays a vital role in the Everglades' ecological balance. The freshwater sloughs are the lifeblood of the Everglades, forming deep, open channels that allow water to move steadily through the landscape. These sloughs are home to fish, amphibians, and wading birds that depend on the constant flow. On either side, vast sawgrass prairies stretch to the horizon. The dense, razor-edged grass provides shelter for countless creatures, from tiny insects to large mammals, and creates a seemingly endless sea of green. Scattered throughout are tropical hardwood hammocks, slightly elevated islands that rise above the water. These lush patches support a dense canopy of trees and shrubs, offering refuge for terrestrial animals and rare plant species. In the pinelands, hardy pine trees grow on exposed limestone, surviving fire and drought. Nearby, cypress domes form natural sanctuaries, their towering trees creating cool, shaded pools that attract wildlife during the dry season. The Everglades is a haven for wildlife. Over 36 protected species call it home, including rare birds, reptiles, and mammals found nowhere else in the United States. The American alligator is perhaps the most iconic resident. As a keystone species, it engineers the landscape by digging gator holes that provide water and shelter for other animals during dry periods. The elusive Florida panther, a critically endangered subspecies of cougar, prowls the pinelands and hammocks. With fewer than 200 individuals remaining, its survival depends on the preservation of this unique habitat. The skies and waterways are alive with birds, from the stately great blue heron and the fish-spearing anhinga to flocks of ibises, egrets, and spoonbills that migrate here each year. Life in the Everglades is governed by water. Seasonal rains and droughts create cycles of abundance and scarcity, driving the movements and behaviors of every creature, from fish and amphibians to birds and mammals. At the southern edge, fresh water meets the salty tides of the Gulf of Mexico, creating brackish estuaries that support a unique blend of marine and freshwater life. Here, dense mangrove forests thrive, their tangled roots anchoring the coastline and providing shelter for countless species. These roots form underwater nurseries, where young fish and crustaceans find protection from predators and abundant food as they grow. Mangroves also act as natural barriers, absorbing the force of storms and protecting the fragile inland habitats from erosion and flooding. Yet the Everglades faces serious challenges. Decades of water diversion, pollution and habitat loss have disrupted the natural flow of water, threatening the delicate balance that sustains this ecosystem. Restoration efforts are underway, but the future of the Everglades depends on our commitment to preserving its waters and protecting its wild inhabitants for generations to come. The Everglades is a living tapestry, a vast mosaic of slow-moving water, sawgrass marshes and tangled forests. Here, every drop of water and every patch of land is shaped by the creatures that call it home. Some animals are so vital to this ecosystem that they are known as ecosystem engineers, their actions sculpting the very landscape and determining the fate of countless other species. The American alligator stands as the most influential of these engineers. Its armored body and ancient lineage make it a symbol of resilience and adaptation. Once teetering on the edge of extinction, the alligator's recovery is a testament to the power of conservation. Today, over 1 million of these formidable reptiles glide through Florida's wetlands, their presence a keystone for the ecosystem's health. As the dry season tightens its grip and water retreats, the alligator's survival instincts come to the fore. Using its muscular snout and tail, it excavates deep depressions, gator holes, into the parched mud, creating pockets of water that persist long after the marshes have dried. These gator holes become lifelines, the last bastions of fresh water in a thirsty landscape. They are magnets for life, drawing in a multitude of species desperate for moisture and refuge. Fish, turtles, and wading birds converge at these oases, their survival hinging on the alligator's handiwork. Here, predator and prey are forced into close quarters, and the struggle for existence intensifies. Turtles bask on muddy banks, fish dart through shallow pools, and herons stalk the edges, ever watchful for a fleeting meal. Roaming the shadowy forests and open prairies is the Florida panther, a rare and elusive apex predator. Its presence is felt more than seen, a silent guardian of balance. The panther's primary prey is the white-tailed deer. With patience and stealth, it stalks through dense undergrowth, relying on acute senses and powerful muscles to ambush its quarry. Each successful hunt not only sustains the panther, but also keeps deer populations in check. By controlling deer numbers, the panther prevents overgrazing, allowing young trees and shrubs to flourish. This, in turn, provides shelter and food for countless smaller creatures, from rabbits to songbirds, weaving a web of life that supports the entire ecosystem. Yet the Florida panther's future is precarious. With only a few dozen individuals left in the wild, each one is a vital thread in the fabric of the Everglades. Their survival depends on vast, unbroken tracts of wilderness, corridors that allow them to roam, hunt, and find mates. The health of these interconnected habitats is essential, not just for the panther, but for every species that shares this land. Wet prairies, cypress domes, and hardwood hammocks must remain linked, forming a living network that sustains life at every level. The skies and shallows are alive with birds, herons, egrets, ibises, and spoonbills, each one a sentinel of the Everglades' health. Their numbers and behaviors reflect the subtle shifts in water levels and food availability. The great egret, American white ibis, and roseate spoonbill are especially sensitive to changes in their watery world. When water is shallow and clear, they gather in dazzling flocks, probing the mud for fish, crustaceans, and insects. In these moments, the Everglades erupts in a spectacle of life. Birds jostle for position, their calls echoing across the marsh as they feast on the bounty concentrated by receding waters. Such gatherings are fleeting, vanishing as quickly as the water itself. The fate of their chicks is a direct measure of the ecosystem's vitality. When food is plentiful and water conditions are right, nests brim with healthy young, but in lean years, many go hungry, and the next generation falters. Each bird has evolved remarkable tactics for survival. The loggerhead shrike impales its prey on thorns, storing food for lean times. The anhinga, with its sleek body and sharp beak, dives beneath the surface, pursuing fish with underwater agility that rivals any otter. Life in the Everglades is a constant dance of interaction and adaptation. Alligators create habitats for fish and birds. Panthers shape the forest by controlling herbivores. Birds disperse seeds and cycle nutrients. Every action ripples outward, forging connections that bind the ecosystem together. In a single gator hole, a heron's patient hunt for fish is only possible because the alligator has preserved the water. The fish, in turn, feed on insects and detritus, recycling nutrients and supporting the food web. When a panther brings down a deer, the remains nourish scavengers and enrich the soil, fueling new plant growth and providing cover for the smallest denizens of the forest. Even the tiniest creatures, frogs, insects, and snails, play indispensable roles. Frogs consume swarms of insects, while insects pollinate flowers and break down organic matter, ensuring the cycle of life continues. In this intricate wilderness, every inhabitant, from the mighty alligator to the smallest beetle, is both a survivor and a contributor. Their lives are woven together in a delicate balance, each action shaping the destiny of the Everglades and ensuring that this remarkable ecosystem endures for generations to come. Across the vast African savanna, survival often sparks the most astonishing partnerships and reveals instincts honed over countless generations. In one remarkable instance, a pride of lions and a troop of baboons found themselves forging a fragile alliance, their lives intertwined by circumstance rather than choice. The origins of this pact lay in a moment of courage. A baboon father, faced with imminent danger, risked everything to shield his young from the lions. Instead of seizing the opportunity for an easy meal, the lions paused, perhaps sensing the baboon's resolve or recognizing a potential advantage in coexistence. Over time, the lions began to offer the baboons protection from stealthy leopards and other lurking dangers, creating a zone of uneasy safety. In exchange, the baboons withheld their piercing alarm calls during lion hunts, allowing the big cats to approach unsuspecting prey with greater stealth. This silent understanding revealed a rare depth of social intelligence, as both species adapted their behavior for mutual benefit. For a brief season, predator and primate shared the same territory, their truce a delicate balance maintained by necessity. Yet the savanna's harsh realities are never far away. As hunger gnawed at the pride, the alliance began to fray. When desperation overcame restraint, a starving lioness broke the pact, attacking a baboon and shattering the fragile peace in an instant. The baboon troop erupted in fury, scattering the lions and ending the alliance as quickly as it had begun, a fleeting chapter in the ever-shifting story of survival. Beyond such rare alliances, the savanna is shaped by instincts as old as time. Maternal devotion, for example, is a force that transcends species. From the first uncertain steps of a wildebeest calf to the careful lessons of a lioness with her cubs, mothers impart the wisdom of survival through patient guidance and fierce protection. Elephant matriarchs lead their families across parched plains, teaching calves the hidden paths to water and the subtle language of herd life. Deep within, hormones like oxytocin fuel these bonds, compelling mothers to nurture, defend, and educate their young, ensuring the next generation is prepared for the challenges ahead. The rhythm of the savanna is also dictated by the seasons, especially when water becomes scarce and every creature is drawn to the last remaining pools. These shrinking oases become arenas of tension, where alliances dissolve and competition intensifies. Predators and prey, driven by thirst, gather side by side, each wary of the other, yet bound by the same urgent need. Giraffes, ever vigilant, time their visits to avoid danger, lowering their heads only when the sun is high and the lions are least active. Hippos, transformed by drought, defend shrinking pools with ferocity, their battles echoing across the plains. Above it all, vultures soar, their keen eyes scanning for opportunity, ready to fulfill their ancient role as the savanna's tireless scavengers, reminding us that every alliance, every instinct, is part of a greater, ever-evolving tapestry of life. Across the globe, the African savanna and the Florida Everglades stand as icons of biodiversity and natural wonder. Yet today, both face unprecedented challenges as climate change accelerates, reshaping their landscapes and the lives of the animals within. In the savanna, rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns have dramatically altered the ecosystem. Droughts are more frequent and severe, transforming once fertile grasslands into parched expanses. Waterholes shrink or vanish, and the seasonal rains that once sustained life have become unpredictable, leaving animals to navigate a world of scarcity. For lions, elephants, zebras, and countless other species, these changes are not just inconvenient, they are existential threats. Elephants, with their immense need for water, are forced to travel greater distances, sometimes crossing into unfamiliar or dangerous territories. Lions, apex predators, find their prey weakened by thirst and hunger, but also face increased competition as herbivore populations decline and territories overlap. The savanna's intricate web of life is unraveling. Grazers like wildebeest and antelope, unable to find enough food, migrate earlier or abandon traditional routes, disrupting predator-prey dynamics. Birds that once timed their migrations to the rains now arrive to barren landscapes. Even resilient species are pushed to their limits, with some populations declining or shifting their ranges in search of more hospitable conditions. Adaptation is underway, but it comes at a cost. Some animals alter their behavior, feeding at night to avoid daytime heat, or congregating in dwindling patches of green. Others, unable to adapt quickly enough, face local extinction. The loss of keystone species like elephants can trigger cascading effects, as their absence alters vegetation patterns and water availability for countless other organisms. Conservationists are responding with innovative strategies. The creation of ecological corridors, vast protected pathways linking fragmented habitats, enables animals to move freely in search of resources, following ancient migratory routes that cross modern borders. The Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, spanning 5 countries, is a landmark effort, allowing elephants and other wide-ranging species to adapt to a changing climate by expanding their range. Technology is now a vital tool in this fight. Satellite imagery and artificial intelligence help map drought-stricken areas, track animal movements, and predict potential conflicts. By understanding how climate change is reshaping the savanna, conservationists can anticipate challenges and deploy resources where they are needed most, giving wildlife a fighting chance. Thousands of miles away, the Florida Everglades faces its own climate crisis. Here, the threat is not drought, but water, specifically the relentless rise of the sea. As ocean levels climb, salt water pushes further inland, contaminating the freshwater marshes that are the foundation of this unique ecosystem. The impact on wildlife is profound. Sawgrass prairies, home to alligators, wading birds, and countless fish, are dying as saltwater intrudes. Freshwater species struggle to survive in brackish conditions, while invasive species better adapted to changing salinity gain a foothold. The iconic Florida panther, already confined to a fraction of its historic range, finds its habitat shrinking further as wetlands disappear. Animals in the Everglades are adapting in remarkable ways. Some fish and amphibians shift their breeding grounds to higher, less salty areas. Birds alter their nesting sites, seeking out the last remnants of healthy marsh. Alligators, once the undisputed rulers of freshwater sloughs, are forced to compete with salt-tolerant species for food and territory. The ecosystem itself is changing. As saltwater kills off native vegetation, mangroves advance inland, transforming the landscape and the communities of animals it supports. These shifts ripple through the food web, affecting everything from insects to top predators. Restoration efforts in the Everglades are ambitious and urgent. The comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan aims to restore the natural, slow-moving flow of fresh water, counteracting decades of drainage and development. By removing old canals and levees and constructing new bridges to reconnect fragmented wetlands, conservationists hope to give native species the space and resources they need to adapt and thrive. In both the Savanna and the Everglades, the stakes could not be higher. Climate change is forcing animals and ecosystems to adapt at an unprecedented pace. Some will succeed, others will not, but through science, innovation, and a commitment to conservation, there is hope that these iconic landscapes and the extraordinary creatures that call them home can endure for generations to come. As dawn breaks over the endless plains of the Savanna, a golden light reveals a living mosaic. Each blade of grass, every animal, and even the smallest insect woven together in a tapestry of life. Across the world, in the watery labyrinth of the Everglades, a different but equally intricate web unfolds, where water, soil, and countless creatures interact in a delicate dance of survival. In both realms, the balance of life is maintained by a complex network of relationships: predators, prey, scavengers, and engineers, each fulfilling a role that sustains the whole. Even the tiniest creatures, like pollinating insects or burrowing beetles, are vital. They aerate the soil, recycle nutrients, and ensure that plants can grow, which in turn feeds herbivores and supports the entire food web. At a crowded waterhole, antelope, zebras, and birds gather, each species contributing to the ecosystem's health, some dispersing seeds, others controlling insect populations, all sharing the same precious resource. The lion, as the apex predator, is more than a hunter. It is a regulator of life. By targeting the weak, the old, and the sick, lions prevent disease from spreading and keep herbivore populations robust and genetically healthy. This selective pressure ensures that only the fittest survive, strengthening the herd and maintaining a natural equilibrium. The mere presence of lions shapes the behavior of prey, creating a landscape of vigilance and movement that prevents overgrazing in any one area. This ripple effect influences when and where animals feed, rest, and drink, subtly sculpting the land and its vegetation. Over time, these patterns of movement and grazing help maintain the diversity and resilience of the savanna itself. In the Everglades, a different guardian reigns. The American alligator, a living relic from the age of dinosaurs, is the ecosystem's engineer. By carving out gator holes, these reptiles create vital oases that retain water during the harshest droughts. These pools become lifelines for fish, amphibians, turtles, and wading birds, offering refuge when the wetlands dry up. Without the alligator's engineering, entire communities would perish in the dry season, and the Everglades would lose its remarkable diversity. The absence of this keystone species would trigger a cascade of loss as water vanishes and life withers away. On the savanna, Even the less celebrated animals play crucial roles. The Cape porcupine, with its formidable quills, is a living deterrent. Predators learn to avoid these prickly creatures, which helps prevent overhunting of more vulnerable prey and maintains a balance among carnivores and herbivores. The presence of such animals subtly guides the choices and movements of larger predators, shaping the entire food web. High above, vultures soar on thermals, their sharp eyes scanning for the fallen. As nature's sanitation crew, they swiftly consume carcasses, preventing the spread of deadly diseases that could devastate entire populations. Their efficiency ensures that nutrients are rapidly recycled back into the soil, nourishing new growth and supporting the next generation of life. Without vultures, disease would spread unchecked, and the landscape would become littered with decay. The web of life is a masterpiece of interdependence. Like a spider's web, each strand, each species, supports and strengthens the whole. Remove a single thread and the structure weakens. Remove enough, and it collapses. The loss of even a seemingly insignificant species can set off a chain reaction, unraveling the stability of the entire ecosystem. When a top predator disappears, herbivore populations can surge unchecked. This leads to overgrazing, stripping the land of vegetation and exposing the soil to erosion. The resulting barren landscape can no longer support the diversity of life it once did, and entire communities begin to vanish. Small mammals, birds, and insects lose their homes, and the ecosystem spirals toward collapse. The loss of an ecosystem engineer like the alligator means water disappears, and with it, the lifeblood of the Everglades. Plants wilt, fish and amphibians perish, and the intricate web of life unravels in a cascade of extinction. Every relationship in nature is a thread in this living tapestry. Predator and prey, mutualists and competitors, each interaction shapes the fate of the ecosystem. Some species form unlikely alliances, like birds that feed on parasites from the backs of large mammals, benefiting both partners and adding resilience to the system. Others, like seed-dispersing birds and mammals, ensure that forests and grasslands regenerate, carrying the promise of new life across the landscape. The true strength of an ecosystem lies in its diversity and the countless connections that bind its inhabitants together. Conservation is not just about saving the most charismatic or powerful animals, but about safeguarding the entire living network. Every species, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal, is a vital part of the whole. Their interactions create a dynamic, ever-changing system that is both resilient and beautiful. The future of the savanna and the Everglades depends on the survival of every thread in this tapestry, from the thunder of elephant herds to the silent work of insects beneath the soil. Each species is essential to the balance of nature. Their daily struggles, triumphs, and interactions compose the grand story of life on Earth. By protecting every species, we preserve the intricate harmony that sustains our planet's wild places. In their continued survival, the savanna and the Everglades remain vibrant, resilient, and full of wonder. And in safeguarding this diversity, we ensure that Earth remains a living paradise, rich, balanced, and endlessly fascinating for generations to come. Beneath the golden grasses of the savanna, a hidden world pulses with energy, a food web as complex and dynamic as any on Earth. Here, every life is linked to another in a delicate balance, where the fate of one species ripples through the entire ecosystem. At the foundation of this web lies the unassuming grass, its roots anchoring the soil and drawing nutrients from the earth. Grazers like wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle convert this plant energy into muscle and movement, their constant feeding shaping the landscape. Each bite triggers a cascade of responses. Grasses regrow, roots strengthen, and new shoots emerge, fueled by the cycle of grazing and regrowth. Predators, the architects of fear and balance, patrol the savanna's expanse. Lions stalk the tall grass, their eyes locked on herds that sense danger in every shadow. Cheetahs unleash explosive speed, targeting the fleetest antelope, while leopards melt into the dappled light, ambushing the unwary. Each hunt is a test of skill and instinct. Each kill is a transfer of energy, fueling the next link in the chain. But the story does not end with the predator's meal. Scavengers, hyenas, jackals, and an array of vultures descend upon the remains, their presence as vital as the hunters themselves. Hyenas crack open bones, extracting marrow rich in nutrients, while vultures strip flesh with surgical precision. In their wake, even smaller creatures, beetles, ants, and flies, join the feast, breaking down what remains into the soil. This relentless recycling of nutrients ensures that nothing is wasted. Bones, fur, and droppings decompose, enriching the earth and nourishing the next generation of plants. Rainfall seeps through the ground, carrying these nutrients to the roots of grasses and shrubs, closing the loop in nature's grand design. Every participant in this web, from the mightiest predator to the tiniest decomposer, fulfills a role that maintains the savanna's vitality. The disappearance of any link, be it a predator, a scavenger, or a humble insect, would send shockwaves through the system, unraveling the intricate tapestry of life. In the savanna's food web, survival is not just about power or speed, but about connection. Energy flows, nutrients cycle, and life persists, all bound together by invisible threads that sustain one of the world's most remarkable wild places. As the sun arcs across the sky and months slip by, the rhythm of the wild is set not by clocks, but by the turning of the seasons. In both the vast African savanna and the lush expanse of the Florida Everglades, life is attuned to the subtle and sometimes dramatic shifts in weather and water. On the savanna, the dry season arrives with relentless heat, transforming rivers into ribbons of dust and grasses into brittle stubble. Herds of wildebeest and zebra gather near shrinking waterholes, their migrations mapped by the promise of rain. Predators, too, adapt. Lions and hyenas linger near these precious oases, knowing opportunity waits where water is scarce. The air is thick with tension, every creature conserving energy, every movement measured. Then, with thunder's distant drum, the wet season bursts onto the scene. Rain falls in sweeping curtains, awakening the earth. Dormant seeds sprout, grasslands erupt in green, and rivers swell with life. Calves and chicks are born in abundance, time to the bounty of new growth. Predators now face a different challenge. Prey scatters across the rejuvenated landscape, no longer bound to the last muddy pools. In the Everglades, the cycle is just as profound. The dry season draws alligators, wading birds and turtles to the deepest sloughs and gator holes, where water lingers longest. Here competition intensifies, and survival depends on patience and cunning. As summer storms return, the wetlands flood, transforming the terrain into a vast, shimmering sheet. Fish and insects flourish, and birds nest in droves, their timing synchronized with the pulse of rising water. For every species, these seasonal changes demand flexibility. Shifting territories, altering diets, and even changing behaviors passed down through generations. Some creatures dig deeper, burrow, or estivate, waiting out the lean months. Others embark on epic journeys, guided by instinct and the scent of distant rain. Through drought and deluge, feast and famine, the inhabitants of the savanna and Everglades reveal a singular truth. Survival is not just about strength or speed, but about reading the signs of change and responding in harmony with nature's clockwork. In every season, adaptation is the key to life's persistence. Across the African savanna, the true architect of life is not the lion's roar or the thunder of hooves. It is water, rivers, lakes, and ephemeral waterholes carve invisible paths across the landscape, dictating where life gathers, moves, and even survives. As the dry season lengthens, permanent water sources become magnets for countless species. Elephants, with their uncanny memory, lead entire herds along ancient trails etched into the earth, converging on these lifelines that have sustained generations. But water does more than quench thirst. It shapes every interaction on the savanna. Where rivers persist, grazing animals like antelope, buffalo, and giraffe assemble in uneasy truce, their safety in numbers balanced by the ever-present threat of predators who wait in the cover of riparian thickets. Crocodiles patrol the water's edge, masters of ambush, while birds like the African fish eagle scan the surface from above, their calls echoing across the floodplain. During the brief but vital wet season, the savanna transforms. Temporary pools and swollen streams scatter across the plains, allowing animals to disperse and forage farther afield. Migrations fan out in sweeping arcs. Following the unpredictable appearance of fresh water, predators must adapt, tracking prey across a shifting mosaic of green and gold, while smaller creatures exploit new niches created by the abundance. Water also serves as a boundary, both physical and ecological. Some species, like the wildebeest, risk perilous crossings in search of greener pastures, forging through currents teeming with hidden dangers. Others, such as territorial hippos, defend their aquatic domains with fierce resolve, shaping the very structure of the ecosystem. In this ever-changing theatre, water is both a connector and a divider, its presence or absence weaving together the destinies of predator and prey, grazer and browser alike. Each migration, each encounter at the water's edge is a testament to the savanna's delicate balance, where survival is written in the ebb and flow of rivers, and the memory of rain guides every step. As the sun sinks below the horizon, a different world awakens across the savanna and the Florida Everglades. The heat of day gives way to a cool, velvet darkness, and with it the stage is set for a cast of nocturnal specialists, creatures whose lives unfold in the shadows. On the savanna, the hush of night brings out the stealthy serval, its oversized ears rotating like satellite dishes, catching the faintest rustle of a rodent beneath the grass. With a sudden leap, it pounces, its night vision transforming the darkness into a map of opportunity. Nearby, aardvarks emerge from burrows, their long tongues probing termite mounds, feasting under the cover of darkness when predators are fewer and the air is cooler. In the Everglades, the night chorus begins. Chorus frogs and crickets fill the air with a symphony, while the American alligator glides silently through moonlit waters, its eyes reflecting like twin embers. The ghostly barn owl sweeps low over the marsh, its flight utterly silent, hunting small mammals that venture out under the stars. Even the opossum, with its keen sense of smell and touch, navigates the tangled undergrowth, searching for fruit and insects. Adaptation is the key to this nocturnal realm. Enhanced senses, sight, hearing, and smell, replace the need for speed or brute strength. Camouflage shifts from blending with sun-bleached grasses to merging with shadows and silhouettes. Some animals, like the bush baby, leap between branches with acrobatic grace, their huge eyes drinking in every scrap of light. Others, like the bobcat of the Everglades, rely on patience and precise timing, stalking prey that never suspects danger in the darkness. Night is not merely a refuge from the day's dangers, it is a world with its own rules, rewards, and risks. Under the stars, the savanna and Everglades pulse with hidden life, each heartbeat a testament to nature's ingenuity in conquering the dark. Here, survival belongs to those who have mastered the art of the night. In every ecosystem, some species wield an influence far beyond their numbers. These are the Keystone species, silent architects of balance, whose presence shapes the destinies of countless others. In the sprawling savannas, the African elephant stands as a living force of transformation. With each stride, these gentle giants uproot trees, carve new pathways, and create open grasslands. Their actions sculpt the very landscape, allowing sunlight to reach the ground and grasses to flourish. This, in turn, feeds herds of antelope, zebra, and countless grazers, while providing hunting grounds for predators. The absence of elephants would tip the scales, leading to thicket overgrowth and a cascade of loss for many species. Across the Atlantic, in the watery labyrinth of the Florida Everglades, the American alligator is a keystone in a different sense. During the dry season, alligators dig deep depressions, known as gator holes, that retain water long after the marshes shrink. These pockets become life-saving oases, sustaining fish, amphibians, and water birds through the harshest months. In their absence, the Everglades would lose its resilience, and many species would face starvation or extinction. Even the smallest keystone species play outsized roles. On the savanna, termites engineer vast underground networks, aerating the soil and recycling nutrients, enabling grasses and trees to thrive. In the Everglades, apple snails form the foundation of the food chain for the endangered snail kite and many wading birds. The balance is delicate. Remove a keystone and the intricate web begins to unravel. The health of an entire ecosystem can hinge on the fate of just one species. Through their daily lives, keystone species quietly hold together the rich tapestry of life, ensuring that the savanna's golden plains and the Everglades' mosaic of wetlands remain vibrant, diverse, and enduring. Their presence is not just important, it is essential. Beneath the endless sky, a new generation takes its first steps into a world shaped by uncertainty and opportunity. In the heart of the savanna, a newborn wildebeest trembles on spindly legs, its mother urging it to rise. Within minutes, it must master the art of standing and running, skills that spell the difference between life and death. Predators lurk at the edges, and only the swiftest learn to blend with the herd, reading the silent cues of elders as they cross rivers and evade hungry jaws. Nearby, a lion cub stares wide-eyed at the world, its days a blend of playful tussles and careful lessons. Each pounce is practice for the future, every shadow a classroom. The cub learns from the pride, how to stalk in silence, how to read the wind, how to retreat when danger outweighs bravado. Survival is a lesson taught by example, trial, and error. Across the ocean, in the watery wilds of the Everglades, a clutch of alligator hatchlings emerges from their nest, tiny and vulnerable. Their mother stands sentinel, but safety is never guaranteed. Wading birds and raccoons prowl the shallows, and only the wary survive. The hatchlings learn to slip beneath the surface at the slightest ripple, to distinguish friend from foe in a world where the line is thin. Elsewhere, a young snail kite tests its wings for the first time, scanning the reeds for elusive apple snails. Its early flights are clumsy, its aim uncertain, but each day brings sharpened skills. The lessons are harsh: missed meals, sudden storms, and the ever-present threat of alligators below. Growth is measured not just in size, but in wisdom earned through adversity. For every species, youth is a gauntlet. Hunger, competition, and predation shape the young, forging resilience or spelling their end. Some will find safety in numbers, others in camouflage, and a few in the guidance of parents. Yet whether on golden plains or in emerald marshes, the journey from helplessness to independence is the crucible from which survivors are made. Here life's greatest challenge is not simply to exist, but to learn, adapt, and endure. Beneath the towering grass and between the tangled roots, a hidden world thrives, one that forms the foundation of both the savanna and the Everglades. Here, insects and small creatures are not just background players. They are the architects of life itself. In the savanna, armies of termites toil relentlessly, their intricate mounds rising like miniature skyscrapers above the plains. Each mound is a marvel of engineering, regulating temperature and humidity for the colony within. As termites break down tough plant material, they recycle nutrients back into the soil, fueling the growth of grasses that sustain herds of grazers. Dung beetles, rolling their precious cargo across the earth, aerate the ground and prevent disease, their labor quietly underpinning the health of the entire ecosystem. Ants patrol the undergrowth, forming vast supercolonies that shape the distribution of seeds and even protect certain plants from herbivores. In their wake, spiders and mantises lie in ambush, controlling insect populations and maintaining balance through silent predation. In the watery labyrinth of the Everglades, a different cast of small creatures takes the stage. Mosquitoes, though often maligned, serve as a vital food source for fish, amphibians, and birds. Dragonfly nymphs lurking in the shallows are fierce hunters, regulating mosquito populations before emerging as agile adults to patrol the skies. Crayfish burrow into the mud, their tunnels providing refuge for countless other animals during dry spells. Snails, both native and invasive, graze on algae and detritus, shaping the clarity and chemistry of the water. Even the smallest creatures, springtails, mites, and aquatic insects, play their part, breaking down organic matter and ensuring that nutrients flow through every level of the food web. Though tiny and often overlooked, these unsung architects are indispensable. Their daily labors support giants, maintain soil and water health, and keep the intricate machinery of these wild places running. Without them, the Savanna's golden seas and the Everglades' emerald veins would falter, proving that in the symphony of life, even the smallest voices are essential. Across the vast savanna, a sudden crackle breaks the afternoon calm. Flames leap and dance, sweeping through the golden grasslands with primal force. In the Everglades, a distant rumble signals a summer storm, lightning igniting a patchwork of fire across the sawgrass. These are not disasters, but nature's reset button, ancient forces that have shaped these landscapes for millennia. For the animals, fire is both a threat and a promise. Herds of antelope sense the smoke on the wind and begin their retreat, moving in practiced unison toward safer ground. Birds take to the air, their wings beating in frantic rhythm as they seek refuge above the flames. Beneath the soil, insects and small mammals burrow deeper, instinct guiding them to pockets of safety. Some, like the burrowing owl and the gopher tortoise, rely on underground shelters that shield them from the heat. As the fire consumes old growth, it clears away choking brush and fallen debris. Seeds, long dormant beneath the surface, sense the heat and awaken, some plants only germinating after the passage of fire. In the charred aftermath, fresh green shoots emerge, drawing grazers back to feast on the nutrient-rich regrowth. Scavengers arrive, finding opportunity in the remains, their keen senses tuned to change. In the watery wilds of the Everglades, fire burns in a patchwork, never consuming all. Alligators retreat to deeper sloughs, their armored bodies unharmed by the flames above. Wading birds follow the receding edges, hunting fish and invertebrates displaced by the disturbance. Even as smoke lingers, rain returns, flooding the blackened ground and breathing new life into the wetlands. But not all natural upheavals are so predictable. Floods, droughts, and hurricanes test the resilience of every creature. When waters rise, fish and amphibians thrive while terrestrial animals seek higher ground. In drought, the strongest survive as waterholes shrink, and competition intensifies. Each challenge reshapes the web of life, pushing species to adapt or perish. Yet from every disaster, renewal follows. New growth, new opportunities, and a landscape refreshed by the trials of fire and flood. In the Savanna and the Everglades, survival is written in cycles of destruction and rebirth. Here, even catastrophe is part of the dance, ensuring that life not only endures, but flourishes.